All right, so here is the MSRP, and wait for it, there is the market adjustment. All right, so recently Tesla has come out and lowered prices pretty much across the board on its models. 3 months ago, lowered prices on its lower tier offerings, and in the last month, they have actually lowered their prices on their upper end vehicles. I think this has been a genius move on Tesla's part, and I wish the other OEMs would follow suit and be able to recognize what Tesla is recognizing right now. And there's really two reasons why Tesla has come out and actually lowered their prices. Number one is the easy reason, and everyone across the car market should know this: demand is softening. That's what happens when rates start to rise. Anything that is more expensive is going to have some demand decreases, because it is way more expensive now to borrow money than it was last year. That's just what happens in a rising rate environment. It costs more to borrow, so demand for more expensive things is going to go down. So now reason number two, and this is the genius one. So Tesla has lowered the prices of certain models to be able to get them within the range to be able to receive a federal tax credit for when a consumer purchases a EV. So a big barrier to entry with a lot of these EVs and bringing someone over to the EV space as a new consumer is price point. A lot of these EVs are usually more expensive than what you're going to purchase another four-door sedan that's a gas vehicle. So price point is a big thing, and these tax credits are a big selling point for someone to cross over from a gas vehicle to an EV. So by making these price cuts, Tesla is actually enticing more people to be able to switch, to cross over, to come and be a new customer of theirs, because they're getting this benefit from the government, as well as being able to get into one of the most popular vehicles in the EV space. So now, since Tesla has lowered their prices, it is actually pinching a lot of the other OEMs, a lot of the other manufacturers out there, because when you're looking at EVs, if you're new to the space, if you're not someone who has owned EVs before, or not familiar with following along with what's going in the market, then just the layperson who wants to know what's going on, they're going to think Tesla. They're not going to think any other brand, because Tesla is the EV maker out there. That's who it is. If they're wanting to do any kind of research on EVs and they go in and type electric vehicle, when you type that in on the internet, the first thing that's going to pop up is Tesla. They are the leader. They are the most popular. They're the ones that you're going to see most often on the road. So Tesla already has their foot in the door for the EV space for a new consumer switching from an ICE vehicle to an EV, just because of their name, just because they're already out there and they're already the leading manufacturer for EVs that is purchased on a consumer level. So then how are these other manufacturers going to get EV customers into their door? And it's going to be really by price point, because they're not going to be able to compete with Tesla's name in the EV space at this moment. I know Ford, GM, they're all trying to. It's going to take them a long time to overcome what Tesla has already built as far as its namesake in the EV space. So in response to these price cuts, what do we see other manufacturers doing? Well, we saw Ford come out and immediately say, you know what, we're going to lower the price of our Mach-E's because we have to be competitive with the number one brand in the space, and that's Tesla. So Ford's coming out and say, okay, we're going to lower our prices, but you know what? It doesn't matter. So recently I have been to a Ford dealership to look at some Mach-E's, and they have them. We've been able to see them. We've been able to see their MSRPs, and I'm not sure if the MSRP that I saw on this particular Mach-E had already been cut from Ford. But what we're seeing is these Ford dealers add market adjustments. So whatever Ford wants to do for their pricing to create pricing power over Tesla to make them cheaper than Tesla's, it's not going to matter, because the franchise dealers have Ford backed into a corner as far as anything they can do on the pricing. So Ford can cut their MSRPs in half. They can cut in half what they're getting these Mach-E's to the dealer for. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters for pricing is what that franchise dealer wants to charge. That's where Tesla has the benefit over these OEMs because they can get direct to consumer, whereas Dodge, Ram, Ford, GM, they all have to go through their franchise dealers. And if the franchise dealers want to add some bogus fees, they want to add these dealer markups, if they want to add nitrogen fees, if they want to add, I saw door cup fee the other day, any of these ridiculous fees, it's all in the hands of the franchise dealers. So if a consumer goes to a Ford dealer and wants to buy an EV and they've already know the prices of the Teslas that can get because they can easily build one online and get it to where they can get it direct to them. They know the price that they're going to pay there. They go to the Ford dealership. They've already seen the Mach-E price online. Now they go to the Ford dealership and see all of these crazy markups. It's not going to bode well for the consumer, I'm sorry, for Ford when the consumer goes there and says, okay, well, I saw a price that I could pay for Tesla, and now I see a price online I can pay for Ford, a Mach-E, but when I get to the dealership, it's not that price. It's $15,000 more than what I thought I was going to pay because you have these dealer adjustment, you have this crazy markup, you have all these add-ons that you're making me pay to be able to take this vehicle. You know what? I don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to go Tesla. It seems much easier. And really, the most ridiculous fee that I've seen when I've gone to all these dealerships have been on the Ford Lightnings, and they have been absolutely crazy. I have not seen a Ford Lightning yet without at least a $10,000 market adjustment fee on it. So at the very beginning of the video, I showed you one. We've even seen, that's the highest fee that I've seen on any vehicle across the market, all the ones that I've checked, but it was a $35,000 market adjustment. And I believe that Ford is able to do this really because the Cybertruck's not out yet. So I believe when the Cybertruck comes out, it's going to absolutely just crush the Ford Lightning because I think Tesla's going to have much better pricing power. And this is one of the biggest problems that Ford has had to deal with, is dealing with their dealers actually price gouging their consumers. Now, I know I pick on Ford a lot. I'll tell you personally, I love an F-150. I actually want to buy an F-150 for myself soon, but I can tell you that their dealer manufacturer relationship is broken right now. So what Ford has come out to say, and not on their EV models, but their other models of vehicles, that they want to actually raise the MSRPs going forward to prevent their dealers from price gouging. Because if they raise the price, then it seems ridiculous that somebody would pay even a much higher price if the dealers try to get these dealer adjustments. And that's just not the way you do it. You have to be able to mend the relationship that you have with your franchise dealers, and you have to stop your franchise dealers from gouging customers. Now, the reason why Ford's hands are tied in this matter is there's so much legislation out there that's actually protecting these franchise dealers to be able to charge just whatever they want. And that's going to be a huge hurdle that Ford is going to have to get over. And it's not just Ford. It's GM, it's Dodge, it's Ram, it's Honda, it's all these manufacturers. The franchise dealers are just, they're in control of all the pricing. And if the manufacturers do not have a good relationship with their dealers, like Ford does not, then these franchise dealers can really do whatever they want to. They can just run Ford's name through the mud by charging these crazy fees and just killing the trust of the consumer because they are actually price gouging these consumers. And it's not just Ford. It's GM. We've been to GM dealers. We've seen $10,000, $15,000 market adjustments there. I've been to Nissan dealers, $2,000 to $5,000. We've even been to Toyota. Toyota's been one of the better dealers that we've been to. We've been to 4 or 5 of them, and we've only seen really one Toyota dealer that's charging a lot of market adjustments, but they had them on literally all of their vehicles. So it's not just Ford specific. It's all of these franchise dealers that are the problem. They're the ones that are price gouging the consumers. And I know that the argument for the franchise dealers is that, hey, we're selling way less cars, so we have to sell them at a higher price to keep our margins up to be able to pay our overhead. Well, I've been to a lot of dealerships that are selling at MSRP, and you know what? They're rolling vehicles out. There's a lot of these Toyota dealers that I've seen that are selling at MSRP, and they can't keep vehicles. So they're selling them, they're making money, and that would be the argument on the other side of why you don't need to actually charge these dealer fees, these market adjustments, because there are businesses, there are dealers out there that are trying to do well by their customers, and they're getting rewarded by it. So all that's to say is just that Tesla has the upper hand on all of these OEMs in the EV space because they're not having to go through these franchise dealers that can price gouge these consumers. You can go online, you can order a Tesla, and you can know exactly what you're paying for. Now, since I've started my channel and it's blown up over the last 5 months, I have been asked a lot about what I think about EVs. I will tell you that I'm not an expert on EVs whatsoever. My expertise is following the general market and being able to see trends at auctions as I see them go through. So I can see the trends that are going on from the used EV space from the auctions that I go to. I can read reports and see the general overall demand for EVs. But if you want to get into the specs and the actual data that's going into a lot of these EVs, Dr. Know-It-All is a great channel. I've actually had the privilege to talk to him, and I will say that both outside of YouTube and on YouTube, great channel to check out. He's a great guy. I'll leave his channel in the description below. So if you want more depth on the EV space, definitely go check him out. But as far as my opinion goes on EVs, like I said, not an expert, but I do believe it's the future. I believe that's what we're going to. I think the cars are actually going to be the easy thing, the technology to actually have the vehicles available and at a price point that people can afford. That's going to be the easy thing. I think the hard thing is infrastructure and having these charging stations everywhere, having them to where the grid can handle it. I think that's a lot further away than a lot of people are assuming it's going to be. So I really think EVs are coming. They're the future, but it's going to be a lot longer before the majority of people are actually driving EVs, just because infrastructure is going to take so long to build out. So a lot of you wanted my opinion on that. That's it.